This tutorial is about finding the area of rectangles and parallelograms. And the reason we do them together is because they use the same formula. The definition of a rectangle is a quadrilateral in which opposite sides are parallel and congruent, and every angle inside measures 90 degrees. A parallelogram is also a quadrilateral in which opposite sides are parallel and congruent, and your opposite angles are congruent. But we don't necessarily need to know that for today. So the formula, you might see it written as area is equal to B times H, base times height, or you could see it as area is equal to length times width. What is very important to understand when you're trying to locate the base and the height on your pictures is that the base and the height will always be perpendicular, meaning they will always create a 90-degree angle. All right, so you've got to look for those two parts to find your base and your height, because sometimes they can try and trick you. All right, so our first example, we have a rectangle here, and we do have our base and our height, and we do have the 90-degree angles shown. So I do know that these guys are perpendicular. So I'm going to start with my formula, and then I'm going to fill in. My base is 3.5. My height is 1 3/5. Now, when it comes down to this, you can work it one of two ways. You can leave them as fractions and work that way, or you can change them into decimals. It all depends on how your answer should be given. So pay attention to any directions. So I'm going to leave them as fractions. So I'm going to turn them to improper. So the 7/2 times 8/5. I can cross simplify. So then I get 28/5. 5 can go into 28 5 times. I have 3/5 left over, and it would become inches squared. Okay, remember, you got to leave it squared because I took inches times inches. All right, so there's your rectangle. Now, coming down here to a parallelogram. Okay, they look a little slanted. And your height will have a dashed line, and it will be perpendicular with a base. Now notice it shows that it's perpendicular here, but because opposite sides are parallel, that means it's also perpendicular here. All right, so they did give me an extra piece of information here. I do not need that. Okay, I've got my height and my base. That's all I need. So area is equal to base times height. So my base is 9. The height is 8.2. So real quick, 8.2 times 9, 1873. So I get 73.8, and they have it labeled centimeters squared. Right, so just a couple of examples down here. Your rectangles will always have your base and height perpendicular given, okay, because of those 90-degree angles. Your parallelograms will be slanted, and your base and your height will be given. Height is almost always a dashed line on these things, okay? So look for those two features and find that they're perpendicular. You've got your base and your height. All right, I hope that helps.